Thank you. And my time has expired. The Chair now recognizes the Ranking Member, Mr. Green from Texas, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you again to the witnesses. Let me start with you, Ms. Perez, and thank you for appearing today. With reference to the report that you are to receive from HUD and that Congress is to receive as well, you've indicated that you've not received it, but would you go on and indicate at this time that this is not unusual given the length of time that has lapsed and that sometimes it can take months to get these reports to the appropriate parties?
Yes, sir. It can take several months for us to get reports from agencies when we've indicated that they violated the Anti-Deficiency Act. Some agencies have done it in a matter of weeks. Others have taken several months and even years.
And just for the record, to make it very clear, you are not contending that anything untoward has occurred by virtue of the report not having reached your office to date?
No, sir. The main concern and purpose of that report would be for the agency to be able to identify what actions it has taken to correct these violations, as well as to take actions to prevent violations in the future. So we really view it as forward-looking because that's part of what the statute requires, is to impose additional safeguards.
Thank you. And with reference to the anti-lobbying, you do concede that if the wording in that letter had been appropriate to indicate that the administration opposes a certain piece of legislation, or this is the administration's position on a piece of legislation, that it would have been perfectly appropriate and would not have been a breach. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir. What our case law has recognized is that it is fine for agencies and administrations to make their views known to the public, including their views on pending legislation.
Thank you. I'm going to have to intercede for just a moment and move to Mr. Montoya, because there are a couple of things that I have to get in with him. Sir, thank you. It appears that 2 Texans have joined together to issue a joint communique, you and the Secretary, and I'd like to ask a couple of questions about this. Is this something that is commonplace for a Secretary to sign a communique with an IG?
No, sir. I have to say no, and I'm not sure I know of any other situation like this.
And if you had to characterize it as either unique or commonplace, you would lean more toward unique than commonplace, would you not?
Yes, sir. I would agree with that.
And in this communique, you indicate that you are working together to eliminate waste and mismanagement, and you go on to indicate that you believe that you can prevent these inefficiencies and that we can work together to make HUD a more effective and efficient organization. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir. That, in fact, is the mission of the IG.
And have you found the new director, Director Castro, to be someone that you can work with to date, and do you find him moving in the right direction?
With my initial conversations and the fact that he would sign this joint letter in response to many of the concerns that I've raised that are the subject of this testimony, yes, I'm encouraged by that, and I look forward to him making those changes.
The organization itself, HUD, you've indicated that the infractions should not be received or perceived as pervasive, that these are things that occur in large organizations the size of HUD, 9,000 plus employees. And you've been very clear on this, but I think for the record, it's important to reiterate this. Is this true?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And it is also true that what has been done is something that is correctable with a reasonable amount of effort and time, and you're eager to work with the new Secretary to make these corrections.
And yes, sir, and that's key, what an organization will do when it comes across misconduct.
Yes, sir. And you agree that the new Secretary, given his initial expression to you, should be given an opportunity to make the necessary corrections so that we can move forward with HUD?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
And finally this, the people who have been involved in these infractions, for the most part, are all no longer with HUD. I do understand that they left under circumstances that are sometimes questionable in the minds of some, but they're no longer there. Is that a fair statement?
Well, it depends on which example we're speaking of. There are a fair amount who are still there.
Yes, but Mr. Jones is no longer there.
No, sir, he's no longer there.
Ms. Gross is no longer there.
That's correct. She is no longer
So for the most part, we can say that HUD has been, well, that they have left, and that that is a good thing. They're leaving.
I would say, well, I don't know about Deputy Secretary Jones. I actually thought he was trying to do a lot to change the culture with regards to misconduct. With regards to Ms. Gross, yes, it's a good thing she's left.
Okay. And HUD is putting this behind us. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
The gentleman yields back.